Hello and welcome to the Scavengers Network Independent Podcast Showcase, the first day of 3 days of live shows and exclusive content from tons of wildly talented independent creators. My name is Mason Amadeus. I'm going to be your faceless MC for part of the time. The theme music that you just heard, it was made by Eli Rexford Chambers. You can find out more of what Eli does at EliChambersMusic.com. We've got a stacked up schedule for you tonight. We're going to be opening things up with, we've got a little word that Colin Parker, the president of the Scavengers Network, is going to be giving us. We have a special mini documentary coming our way from the Spooky Spouses. We've got Blink and You'll Miss It. We've got Finish It performing live. It's all going to be amazing. Before we get to Colin, I just wanted to say a quick special thanks to Forrest James from the Unqualified Networks podcast and the Parker family for generous donations that have helped to make this whole thing possible. And a special thanks to all of the performers, all of the hard work put in by everyone to make this happen. But I'm not going to spend too much time doing that because that is Colin's job, and I have Colin over on this channel.
Hello. As Mason just said, I'm Colin Parker. I'm the president and the creative director of the Scavengers Network. Many people here call me the Pod Boss. Unnatural 20 sometimes calls me the Pod Father. The Reeds of Spooky Spouses call me the Big Beautiful Boss Baby Boy. And I love all of these names because they come from a place of affection, which is very important to me as a part of the Scavengers Network. I am constantly moved by how much this network loves one another. And something that just about the network is just like, I'm already nervous. This is crazy. I haven't been stage fright nervous since like high school theater. But this is such a momentous occasion. Welcome to the Scavengers Network Indie Podcast Showcase. As a very, very brief history, of myself, my parents told me as a kid not to talk to strangers on the internet, so I went out of my way to make sure that all of my friends now are entirely from the internet. So sorry, Mom and Dad, on that one. But as far as the Scavengers Network goes, it's a very simple tale. It started off as 5 dumb friends sitting on my parents' sofa in Maryland, making some silly little YouTube videos. It eventually came down to, well, hey, it's time to make a podcast. We say that we're going to make podcasts. Let's do that. So Alex and I started Journey Under 30. And then the next thing you know, there's this great opportunity where there's this little podcast. It's another indie podcast. You might not have heard of it, but you should check them out. They're called My Brother and Me. And there's a fan page for it. It's, a couple, like 10,000 of people or something. I don't know, something small like that. But they had a Facebook post where someone said, I need more shows to listen to. Give me some suggestions. And the comment section blew up. And the next thing you know, people are saying, is there a Facebook group for this? So I jumped in with a bunch of, I choked on my own words. I jumped in with a bunch of other people, and 6 people, and I started Mbim Bambino Podcasters, which is where I first told people about the Scavengers Network. And shortly after we told people about it, emails started rolling in. Spooky Spouses sent us a little email. Morgan Spatola sent us a little email. Sam Grez's Historical Hotties. We, started off kind of small, had 4 shows, added on myth takes, using different people from different parts of the network, and then eventually adding on Amateur Detective Club. And then came just like a defining moment, not just for us, like as the Scavengers Network, but honestly, as our entire community. There was an event called PodCon 2. RIP forever. But PodCon 2 was just next level. And it's also crazy to me to think about being at a convention right now. I haven't been to one in over a year, and it's kind of like, I don't know, kind of like my heart kind of hurts thinking about that. But we all met up in Seattle. The Scavengers Network had a table there at the convention. But outside of that, there were 2 big things about this event. The first was that at our table, we allowed Mbim Bambino podcasters to drop off marketing materials for their shows if they were going to go off to panels or live performances. And we pitched shows that were on our network and also that were our friends, because our community is not just us, right? Your community is not just the street that you live on. It's your county, it's your city, it's your state. I mixed up the order of those, but I think you get the point. And so that's what happened with us. We met so many people. And that Saturday night, we went to an event that was hosted by a couple people from our Facebook group. That was Mbim Bambino Podcasters Meetup. And I met with 50 people from our community out of currently there's about 800 people in that group and about 400 shows represented, which is just sort of mind-blowing as well when you think about it. Just like how far the branches of this community reaches. And, it was incredible to meet all those people, because I remember that more than I remember any of the other things from PodCon. Whether it was the welcoming show, the live shows, anything like that. I remember meeting the people. And that was also a really big deal, I think, to other people as well, because like I said, we went into PodCon 2 with 6 shows. Only a few months later, we had 18 shows. We tripled in size in like 3 or 4 months. It was just sort of, I don't know, it was just buck wild to watch this thing go from 5 idiot friends playing, Let's Plays, again, at my parents' house in Maryland, to now I'm living in New Orleans. And we have people who are in like over 10 other states reaching, across the United States of America. There's over 30 creators on our network, and we have all sorts of friends and shows from Mbim Bambino podcasters and other external communities that all of us are also a part of. And it's just been a journey. We've had a few podcasts, come to an end over the years, including the very first one that was here at the Scavengers Network, Journey Under 30, a show that I started with Alex Taylor back in the day. But it's interesting to me that the shows might end, but the connections that we all have don't. A lot of the times when a show ends here, people end up going on to make a new show, and they keep it here within our community. And I just feel like that's such an important factor, that people stick around. And not only that, they also continue to work on other shows outside of the network with other people from other communities. Like I said, so there's a lot of different eggs in different baskets, but, there's always a home for people who want it, whether it is their permanent residence or they're here to be friends, to, come over for a cookout or whatever you want to call SNIPS this weekend. That's sort of our equivalent. I'll also say the very funny thing about this is that I had a million things to say about all of these things this weekend. And I even did a timed performance, I guess you could say, of what I was going to say this tonight. I think the funniest thing to me is that I was talking in a almost presidential, way. I was like, okay, I'm going to hit this point. I'm going to have a pause for laughter, even though it's not live theater. I'm going to have a moment here, a moment there. The adrenaline rush of this weekend is so crazy that when this whole thing started, I had about, I think, maybe 14 minutes to fill or something like that. I have still some time, and I'm almost done with my outline. Now, I also understand that we have some things that we can throw it to, but I want to take just a brief moment to before we cut over to any kind of external thing. I want to make a couple real quick thank yous because these are extremely important. And if you're in the chat, whether it's Facebook or on twitch.tv, or if you're watching from snipshowcase.com, hello, just wherever you are, just give a little shout out and thanks to these people because this weekend would not be possible without the team that made it happen. So first up is Caitlin McDougall from Natural 20s. Who is our marketing specialist who helped us come up with plans for when we're going to tweet things, when we're going to post things, all sorts of things. Caitlin really was monumental in making sure that we knew where different things needed to go. The next person that I want to thank is a co-founder and best friend and all-around music extraordinaire, Alex Taylor, who did a bunch of things, including making Scavengers Bot, who has a bunch of amazing commands in the chat on twitch.tv. It's not available on Facebook yet. I don't know if that is a thing, but on twitch.tv, there's so many great things that you can hit up and Scavengers Bot will yell something back at you. Well, it won't yell, but you know what I mean. And also, creating the website for this event to make sure that there was a place for the video to be, housed, the schedule, information, all sorts of things. And then the final two people to thank are Mason Amadeus, who you heard from at the very beginning. Mason went above and beyond on the technical aspects for this weekend. And what you've seen so far has been all him. And also some of the glitching effects and stuff like that as well have come from Alex. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that Alex was involved in that part as well. But Mason, it's almost like you're on the Titanic, right? What you've seen so far is the tip of the iceberg, and the depth of the creation that Mason has made, it goes so much further. So please be sure to stick around. You are going to just be blown away by all the incredible things that he's made. And finally, most importantly here, I think, is Morgan Spatola, who is our vice president here at the Scavengers Network and is the head of the whole SNIPS process. When we first heard that PodCon was not coming back, this is 2 years ago, basically, at this point, I hit up Morgan. I was like, hey, what if we did some sort of thing just like a Scavengers Network meetup in 2021, COVID. But then, it was this idea, and then it kind of very quickly had to go away because of, the situation in the nation and the world, really. But then not that long after, in September or maybe October of last year, I said, hey, what if we kind of switched it up a little bit? What if we did this whole thing virtually? I brought this idea forward, and Morgan said, it's possible, and I want to be the one to lead the charge. And I am never going to tell someone no when they have the desire to take the lead in the project, except for running the network. I mean, that part's me. But any other project, I'm more than willing. I trust the people here full-heartedly, and I trust the people of our community full-heartedly. I love the community that we have so much. The support of the fans who started off with one podcast and then swapped over to another and swapped over to another. There's some people who started off with one show and now listen to, I think, maybe all of them, if not at least a majority of the shows. And to see them also then sharing things. I believe, oh man, I should have reminded myself. I believe it was Caddy Diddy who was talking about on Twitter the other day about wearing a Spooky Spouses shirt out in public, and basically every time that they wear the shirt, they get questions and they tell people about it. I mean, that's just such an important thing. So it's incredible to see that it goes, beyond just us having a passion for these projects. It's people that we never met to begin with, who found us and accepted us and became a part of our community as well. And again, also all of the other shows that we've met along the way, whether they were a part of Bim Bambino podcasters, whether we met them at PodCon, whether they are a friend of the show or whatever. there are so many shows that we have interacted with and met along the way. And every last one of those pieces builds up what we have here. And the history that we have in the network is incredible, and it goes very deep. But I want to also give, actually, now that I think about it, there is actually one final thank you. And that is to you, the listeners and the watchers of this event, because kind of like there are other people that I, think about and like connect to different events in the Scavengers Network history. You are also a part of this. You are a monumental piece of the puzzle for this weekend. I believe Lindsay Reed is the first person at the network to say it. But without you, there would be no us. And I have one final note, which is unrelated to the thank yous, but I do want to say maybe Alex, I'm pretty sure you're out there. If you can drop the merch link for this weekend, I wanted to let you all know that we do have some merch available, and all the proceeds from this weekend are being donated to stopaapihate.org. So now is a great time to grab some wonderful SNIPS merch with the designs of Kelp Rabbit and also donate to a good cause at the same time. Now, with that being said, we're about to hear from Spooky Spouses. Like, the official, first show of the entire weekend is about to kick off. So I'm going to say one last thank you. I will see you all again, pretty soon. So don't worry about that. But please, watch as many shows as you can this weekend rather. You never know when you're going to find your next new favorite show. And Mason, I'm pretty sure hang on. Yes. Okay. I'm breaking news. I'm getting reports that before we go to Spooky Spouses, we will hear a very brief word from one of our sponsors. That's fantastic. Well, thank you all so much. And Mason, take it away.